some solid strategies. He's going to run into almost a mirror of sorts with another Gengar deck. He's got a little bit of a different list, though.
That's right, not playing the Houndoom. Usually the pretty standard way to play Gengar, but for this tournament, players recognized Arceus V-Star, one of the most powerful cards from Brilliant Stars. I want to counter a Dark Week meta using Gengar VMAX, and that's what Drew has done for this event and piloted it all the way to the top 4.
All right, let's see how the prize cards affect our players here
Hopefully
in the top 4.
nothing too bad.
Ooh, on double VMAX.
That is not great.
Oh, 1. Okay, not too bad.
A Battle VIP pass, you know, that means that's 1 less that you can get in the opening hand, and that's the only time they're super useful, but other than that, not terrible on Zachary's side. The 1 single strike energy is something that definitely could come up when you're trying to reach for those big 1-hit KO numbers.
Yeah, so just 1 there, and it is at the top of the prize cards, so probably
yeah, might not have access
till the end. But here we go. We have the fist bump. We are underway here in the top 4 of Salt Lake City Regionals.
And it appears Drew is going to kick it off for us with a couple of Bidoofs hitting the bench. Okay, love to see it. Whenever this has been a popular draw support option for Gengar decks in general, both using Arceus and using Houndoom, with that Bibarel with its industrious incisors, drawing you up to 5 cards in hand once per turn. And if you can set up 2 of them, you get to use both of those abilities.
Yeah, dentists hate him. Drew coming in with the double Bidoof start, and he is going to add to his board here with that quick ball.
Probably going to eye up another Arceus. I'll be interested to see how Andrew approaches this matchup. Do you want to lean into Gengar, or do you want to lean more into Arceus? Gengar is really great when you're playing up against a deck that is going to put a lot of Pokemon V in play, but Zach is probably going to try to limit how many are down, so Fear and Panic can't do quite as much damage. And while Drew can utilize the Gengar with Choice Belt to get up to deal 280 damage with G-Max Swallow Up. That's really great in Arceus matchups. I don't know how good it's going to be against the 320 HP Gengar VMAX of Zachary Cooper.
Yeah, no, I think you hit it right on the head there. Just getting out those Arceus and then attacking with them, knowing that when you do get up to that V-Star, you're only giving up those 2 prize cards in comparison to a VMAX giving up 3. I think that simple math right there just does it for you. You know you got to keep going with his Arceus.
And Zachary is attacking opponents' tools this weekend, playing the Tool Jammer. That's a card that has popped in and out of people's deck lists. And Zachary discards a Gengar VMAX, so that is 1 less that there will be access to. But luckily, Zachary did not prize any of those Gengar VMAXs. It was Andrew that had a couple in the prizes.
Well, we see the early path to the peak, so that could affect Andrew on the second turn with potential for that Arceus V-Star to be hitting the board.
Yeah, Andrew didn't get an energy drop on turn 1, which is really important for these Arceus decks, so that puts Andrew behind just right away.
Yeah, and just 3 cards in hand as well. I guess he's happy this isn't a Malamar deck.
Right. Opponent's going to just start max jammering and putting those things on the bottom, and you are in trouble. Double quick ball from Zachary. That's pretty solid. And discarding 2 Path to the Peaks. Once the Path to the Peak comes in play, you can't play another one, so it's a fine card to thin out. Andrew does play those collapsed stadiums, which is a pretty nice card. I know you said you saw him make some pretty great plays with that earlier on in the day.
Yeah, you know, when you've been around as long as Andrew has, he's been playing probably Giant Stump era, so he knows when a collapsed stadium is around, you can get a lot of good use out of that.
Pretty solid hand from Drew. Has the Bibarel, has an Ultra Ball as well, so after drawing a couple of cards with the first Industrious Incisors, we could see the second Bibarel hit the field as well. Drawing up to 5, has that Ultra Ball, and that is the card that's brought to the front. I think we're going to see the double Beebs in play.
Make it Justin proud.
So double Industrious Incisors, that's a lot of cards drawn every single turn. If Drew can also find a Stadium card, we could see the Starbirth being used on the Arceus V-Star, and that can get really any pieces you need going in order to get your game plan rolling. I think Drew this turn probably just needs a double Turbo Energy to at least go with the Arceus V, right?
Yeah, missing that opening energy does seem pretty pivotal here. So being able to accelerate those energy cards would be really nice right now. But we've honestly seen a lot of players kind of just take that turn off, throw a double turbo energy onto the bench, and kind of just wait it out. And you know you're going to accelerate those energies eventually by way of your Arceus V-Star. So
right.
They're going to be coming. But it looks like Andrew doesn't have anything right now.
I think there's a little bit of a discussion going on here. Maybe, I couldn't quite tell exactly what happened. I think maybe an extra card potentially was peeked off of the top of the deck, off of the incisors. It only dropped to 5, not quite to 6. It's not quite as good as backup from Porygon back in the day.
Well, we'll leave it up to the judges here.
Yeah,
so
that could be a huge blow for Drew. And looking at the body language, I think that is potentially what has happened here. And that result, being in top 4 of this match, is almost definitely going to be a double prize penalty, and that's exactly what's happening. So the ruling here, the judge will reveal the top card to both players since Andrew saw that card. That way the knowledge gained is available to both players, and then the deck will be randomized. And now Andrew will likely receive a double prize penalty. Now that means Zachary only has to take 4 prizes to win the first game here in top 4.
Yeah, that's painful to watch if you're rooting for Andrew at home, because in a matchup like this, you really can't afford to be giving up 2 prize cards by that way. So we'll see if Andrew's able to figure something out here. It looks like he is going to go ahead and use that V-Star Power Starbirth ability to get something rolling.
Yeah, did find the replacement stadium, so Collapse Stadium hits the field, and now Starbirth can get 2 out of the deck. But at this point, if you know, this double prize penalty, you know, we've just gotten confirmation has been issued, is there ever a consideration for Drew to be too far behind, or is it still too early? I feel like it might be a little early still, right?
Yeah, I mean,
to consider scooping it up.
Of course, with 75 minutes and
you have a bit more time.
As big as these Pokemon are, I think you got some time.
Okay,
but
sure.
Maybe if this does start to last a little longer, you could consider it.
Yeah, you got to keep it in mind. I mean, you're not doing damage this turn. You get the Energy Excel, but it's not as strong as Trinity Nova. So no damage dealt, but a couple of energy thrown onto the Gengar, and then an energy thrown onto the Arceus, splitting those energies up.
So I like this because Andrew understands that the game plan changed. He's now playing only to 4 prizes for Zachary to win the game. So he's like, all right, I'm going to make you work your way through this big Gengar VMAX then.
Sure.
We're not going to play this Arceus game. So a really nice adaptation there to try to mix things up.
But that is a 3rd Pokemon V in play. Fear and Panic dealing 60 damage for each Pokemon V, so that means it's up to 180. Single Strike energy is 200, and now with the Houndoom and the Single Strike Roar, the 2nd Single Strike energy gets attached. That will boost Fear and Panic's damage up to 220 damage, exactly enough to KO this Arceus V from Andrew.
Yeah, it's like he knows what he's doing. He lined that up perfectly. He has all of those energies there to take this big knockout. And when you only need 2 more prize cards, it has to feel good being this far ahead early in the opening of the top 4.
And how does Drew even respond to this? I mean, I guess Gengar VMAX is going to be the thing that can take a hit the best, but you're not knocking out Zachary's Gengar anytime soon.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right there. And I feel like it has to be like wild combinations of Andrew not only getting this Gengar VMAX up, but then trying to set up another Gengar VMAX, or working his way back into an Arceus V-Star, trying to clean up his bench or doing something with those Collapse Stadium. It's so tough to make this happen now.
We see a spicy little tech card there in Andrew's hand, that Hyper Potion. That's something that could come in clutch, actually, if you're trying to make a game last a little bit longer. It does work with double turbo energy, right?
Yeah, and that might be something that Zachary's not expecting, because he's just trying to plan out the damage, get likely a 2-hit knockout on the potential Gengar VMAX and close this thing out.
Drew needs a VMAX here, though.
Yeah, Andrew could be eyeing that up. Let's see. It does not look like it's there yet.
Has a couple of draws. Can use the Industrious Incisors. We see Choice Belt. That's going to boost the damage quite a bit. I think you have to hold off on benching this Gengar V, though. That could draw you 1 more card, but Andrew wisely decides to hold off.
Yep. And we do see the Evolution Incense off the top there.
Yeah, that's exactly what Andrew wanted to see. Needed to dig a little bit more for Gengar V Max. And Drew's looking through the deck. Does he only play 2? He only plays 2 Gengar VMAX.
Oh my gosh.
I just assumed it was 3.
Yeah, we had the prize cards right there in front of us, and we were thinking he's
2.
okay. Not only did he not have any of the Pokemon to attack with, but he also gave up those 2 prize cards early. So this game is over.
Wow, and a double prize loss penalty leads to an early lead from Zachary Cooper, who ends up taking the match pretty quickly.
Man, that is tough. And
yeah.
Of course, Andrew's been in situations like this.
Oh, certainly.
He's played on the big stage before. He understands what playing on stream's like. He's got the jitters out now. He's seen the worst possible thing that could happen.
Oh, he's been down, he's been down 0-1 in many best of 3s, I'm sure, and fought his way back. So I'm sure he's got the resolve to make it happen, but on the other side of the table, Zachary Cooper is going to do everything to get a victory here in this second game, not even worry about a potential game 3. The winner here is going to lock up a berth to the finals. You know, by just getting to top 4, these players have locked up $1,500 of prize money, but getting to the finals means you're at minimum going to receive $2,500, and if you take down the title of regional champion, that yields you $5,000, and of course, the bragging rights, which is what everyone really is here to care about, right?
You know, and we have those bronze, silver, and gold medals sitting out there too. Those are pretty nice.
Yeah, usually in the past, the regional champions have received some nice glass trophies, but they've been replaced by some super sweet-looking Pikachu medals. What are your thoughts on those new medals the players are receiving?
I was telling Jeremy that I would just wear them everywhere. I'm in the grocery store. I'm at my local event. It doesn't matter.
A badge of honor, so
right.
to speak. So moving into this next game, besides not accidentally peeking at an extra card there from Drew, getting a double prize penalty, is there any other adjustments you want to see going into this second game?
That's the main adjustment I want to see.
No mistakes.
But other than that, it's almost like he can hear us. He's ready. He knows that this wasn't the way he wanted this to go. But no, honestly, that he had everything he needed. He just did as far as strategy. Sure. He knew that he wanted to go in with that Arceus. He wanted to get an energy attachment. That didn't happen. Yeah. He didn't want to go in with his Gengar until the prize count was ready. Well, the prize count kind of messed up on him, so he was ready there. So I think we'll see a lot more out of Andrew here. And oh my God!
Oh my gosh!
That's not okay.
Gengar V! What is that? Does play the 4 copies, so you still have 1 to have access to, but 3 Gengar V in the prizes, Kyle!
That's not okay. You can't do that to people. So, all right,
okay, listen.
What's Houndoom doing?
Houndoom deals 50 damage, so...
What's Stonejourner doing? Because he's got to wake up.
Well, Stonejourner is actually a really great attacker in this matchup. Of course, Arceus and Gengar are weak to fighting, and right away, Zachary just starts it. That's actually pretty bad for Zachary, because now that's an easy turn 2 knockout, potentially, for Drew. We're kicking it off, though, and things are getting fired. Andrew looks like has started an Arceus V, and is playing an Ultra Ball to search through the deck.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump down into that table. We can see right now Andrew off to this fantastic start. Already has the double turbo energy onto the Arceus V, has the Gengar down, has the Bidoof down, and we haven't even seen the rest of the hand yet. So already this looks like it could be Andrew's game.
Looking quite a bit better. You know, I mean, I guess Zachary's Gengars heard about Andrew's hiding over in the prizes. They must have said it was kind of fun over there, and they wanted to check it out for themselves.
It's like a sleepover, you know? you go duck under there.
Well, a research is a pretty solid way to start for Zachary. Not sure how many important resources had to be discarded, but we know Zachary's going to have kind of a hard time finding Gengar V. A quick ball can search it out, though.
Oh, my goodness.
Zachary's done.
Yeah, just looking at the hand, we were looking through. Zachary maybe had a quick ball, but no battle VIP pass. He's just like, all right, this is over.
Wow. We're going to game 3, Kyle.
Come on, man. My seat's barely warm. We haven't even started, guys.
Yeah, what, 75 minutes for top 4, right? And we're only 62 minutes remaining on the clock. We have not been here long enough.
Wow. All right. Well, we have plenty of time to shuffle. We'll get a nice distribution of cards. Maybe they all won't hang out in sleepover land this time.
Yeah, no Gengars in the prizes for game 3. Both of you guys, come on now.
Oh, okay. Hey, what could Zachary do better this game?
Well, not start Stonejourner, not prize 3 Gengars, and draw into some decent cards off of the first draw supporter. That's a pretty solid 3-step process there to find success in the Pokemon TCG.
All right, well, I've mentioned this before with Zachary on stream. I feel like this kind of deck that he plays is so much better when you have that opening VIP pass.
Oh, yes.
If you get that card down, at least one of them, the deck looks completely different. Those Houndours hitting the bench early mean this deck can go very explosive on the second turn. So I think that's going to be a very pivotal point here to see if Zachary's able to find those kinds of cards. And you know what? Let's stick around and look at the prize cards too, just for what's been going on here.
Yeah, no kidding. So as these players shuffle up, it's always interesting to me whenever these decks that people chose to play to counter the expected meta end up playing against one another. Obviously, Gengar is a pretty solid deck on its own, you know, without considering Mew VMAX being the best deck in the format. But that is obviously a huge factor in both of these players' deck choices for this weekend. And now they find themselves playing each other, and there's no other Mew VMAX, no Mew VMAXs in the top 8.
All right, hold your breath.
Oh, okay, just one Gengar.
We can deal with this.
One sleepy lad in the prizes. That is okay.
One single strike energy as well. And on the other side for Andrew, it did not look too bad. So here we go. We are going into game 3. That's right. I said game 3. And here's that battle VIP pass for Zachary.
You were talking about how important this card is on the opening turn. You can, in fact, only play it on the opening turn. Very solid effect as an item card where you can get 2 basic Pokemon out of the deck and put them directly onto the bench. This is so good in a deck like Gengar where you want to just fill the board with as many Houndooms and eventually Houndours into Houndooms as you possibly can.
Well, Zachary has already picked out 2, going with the Houndour and the likely main attacker there in that Gengar. We're going to see the Tool Jammer down and a Quick Ball as well. Getting rid of one of those paths, but I believe he has a second in hand.
Nice. And it's always interesting to choose when to put the path in play because you might want to utilize cards like this Crobat V. Also, Zachary does play the 1 copy of Luminion V. Solid support options, but they are rule box Pokemon with abilities. So you always want to make sure that you are grabbing those cards and using them before your Path to the Peaks may come out.
All right, Zachary thinning down the hand there with that switch, switching his Houndours and then drawing back up with Dark Axe asset on that Crobat V.
Would love to find an energy attachment, I feel like, here. I don't know that I see one in that hand.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it, but...
Gets a second Gengar down, which isn't too bad, and a Path to the Peak could potentially slow Andrew down. Is going to hold off on playing it, though.
Yeah, it almost sells a little bit to Andrew, thinking that he was going to play that, because that open bench space into potential Luminion, that might be something that Zachary's thinking about here.
And that, you know, with 4 Pokemon on the bench, maybe Andrew could kind of counteract that by putting Collapse Stadium in play. Because then it's actually impossible for Luminion to come out, because the only way Zachary has to counter the Collapse Stadium to free up that bench space is Path to the Peak.
What have I done?
Which shuts off the Luminion, so that could be an interesting interaction. I also feel like Drew may want to hold off on putting a Stadium in play, right? Because otherwise you are risking not having an answer to a Path to the Peak.
They call it a counter stadium for a reason.
Right, because Andrew's abilities are very important on just turn 2 for the most part, as far as the rule box Pokemon abilities.
Well, we are going to see Andrew likely making that decision soon because the Collapse Stadium is in hand, and he does have only a few cards in hand as well. So,
ooh, do you play it before the Marnie? Andrew thinks so, and yeah, I mean, this is a fine turn to play it because you saw your opponent debate putting the Stadium in play. So that is Andrew using a little bit of that knowledge that Zachary just kind of volunteered to him.
You know, it looks like it, and it seems like a very strong play for Andrew. We only see the 2 Houndour, and if Zachary doesn't find a strong hand, Andrew could start to target those. And if the energies don't come down, Gengar's a very bad deck on the other side, just manually attaching.
All Andrew has is a Darkness energy to attach, no double turbo energy. I believe had like some Ultra Balls for next turn potentially. What is Zach working with on this side, though? Can we see a switch and an attack this turn?
Oh, I think I actually see the Luminion.
Oh, no. Yeah, and no bench space. I think there's one of those Trainer Gallery Houndooms in the hand, so that could be nice to get a little Energy Excel, and that is certainly the first Pokemon to hit the field. Can use Single Strike Roar to fetch a Single Strike Energy out of the deck. Had a Hiding Darkness Energy. Debated putting it on Gengar, but that could be one of your only ways to move this Houndour in the active. Yep, we're just going to spread them.
Looks like the Vitality Urn, and then not much else happening here, so that Collapse Stadium might have done just enough work.
I mean, are we going to see, okay, we're going to see the energy spread to the other Gengar. I was kind of wondering maybe we'd see the little energy go on to the Houndour in the active, get a little poke in.
Yeah,
you know.
get in there.
I think Ram deals 20 base damage, you know, plus 40 with the single strike energy. That can set up some easier numbers for you, but Zachary thinks a little bit better of that cheeky play.
I mean, we've seen a lot in this past 20 minutes.
I mean, sometimes stuff like that, when you have a bad hand, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see if Andrew's on feeling the same way on his side. Looks like he does have a little more to work with. Ultra Ball in the hand as well as Marnie. So certainly going to see some incisors and likely a supporter for this turn.
I don't think Andrew's going to be playing Marnie, though. I think Andrew's going to look for something else. Whenever your opponent has just done basically nothing on their turn, you don't want to give them the benefit of finding a new hand.
Maybe a different supporter.
Sure, sure. So has a couple choices here. Could go with the Arceus V-Star and utilize the Star Birth right away, or could eye up the Bibarel, and I think this is a solid choice as well. I think there might have been an Ultra Ball hiding in that hand, right?
Yeah, that could be perfect, because you could just roll this hand right back up to 5, make sure it's 5, and then use your Ultra Ball, grab your Arceus V-Star, and get everything you need.
Yes, only 5 cards, Andrew. Come on. 2 cards in hand, so can, is one more playable? Ooh, the VMAX.
That's very nice.
Nice. Solid 4-card draw. I think, yeah, we're going to see the deck picked up. No fan drawing here. Make sure we count out exactly 4 cards this time. Evolution Incense. And that is going to be played, grabbing the Arceus V-Star out of the deck, no doubt.
All right, so we will see the Star Birth most likely. I don't believe we saw any supporter in Andrew's hand, so we could be looking at that route, likely a double turbo as well. And that's going to mean that things start rolling here. We're going to see at least a knockout on this turn, and we could see some energies rolling onto that Gengar VMAX. And once you start threatening that, you feel pretty good, especially looking at 3 V Pokemon on Zachary's side of the field.
Yeah, I almost wonder, though, if like Drew doesn't generally want to go this route with the Gengar, right? Kind of what we were talking about earlier. It's not as good against non-Arceus and non-Mew decks because you can't hit for one-hit KOs on the opposing Gengar VMAXs, and they can theoretically reach for them with the Gmax Swallow Up and Single Strike Energy. So it's all things to consider.
So, Bibarel. time to get in there, my friend.
Little tail smash. Flip a coin if heads, you deal 100 damage. If tails, you do nothing.
Man.
I don't know that we're going to see that.
No, this looks a little different. We are seeing the target of the boss's orders now.
Could be a little aggressive after one of these Gengars, you think?
Yeah, we could definitely see that. We also know that Zachary's hand is looking pretty weak, it feels like. Maybe you go after that Houndoom.
I actually chose to grab the Tool Scrapper, so Value's getting rid of the Tool Jammer on Zachary's side, potentially. That is a 3rd Pokemon V that was just benched here. That is definitely key.
All right, what is Andrew considering? Looks like he's just content with this knockout on the Houndour.
Yes, we'll use Trinity Nova, 180 damage, more than enough to take care of poor Houndour. Now the question is, where do these energies go? And Andrew's going to choose to spread them out, as we've seen him do, you know, every single time that Trinity Nova has been used for the most part.
Yep, seems like a fair split there, making sure that you have access to multiple attackers throughout this game. If the prize exchange does go Arceus V-Star knockout, Gengar VMAX knockout, then you have that final Gengar VMAX in the way of Zachary taking the match.
Zachary's going to kick off the turn with a Quick Ball. So now with a bench space being freed up by a Pokemon being KO'd, we could see, the Lumineon, but no, it's just a Gengar as the grab.
Yeah, might see the Lumineon now and then go for the research.
That's right, you did say you saw that Lumineon in hand, right?
Yep.
And research is the grab, discarding the hand, drawing 7. So just at this point, thinning out that Gengar V from the deck. Not a card that you're going to be able to utilize. You've got 2 in play already, and you don't want to draw any more of them later on. Now, crucially, putting Lumineon in play is a 4th Pokemon V, right?
Yeah, this is very scary territory for Zachary, because now you're walking into a lot of issues with that Gengar VMAX. You're upwards of 240 damage. With amplifiers, we're talking about that Choice Belt, 270 damage. And if you continue to add these energies onto your board by way of that Houndoom, you're doing additional damage to yourself as well. The math does start to add up.
And we're actually in a position where Andrew could ignore the Gengar VMAXs entirely. Could just chase down the Lumineon, the Crobat, and then eventually the Houndoom to take the final 5 remaining prizes. And we could see Andrew theoretically win this game without even ever having to KO a Gengar VMAX.
Yeah, that's a great viable strategy there, and we saw him holding onto those boss's orders early as well.
But it's going to be tough after a G-Max Swallow-Up hits for enough damage to take out this Arceus.
That's big. Yeah, and Gengar, of course, with that 320 hit points, 300 damage would have to be the answer here, and I don't think that that Andrew has that lined up.
Yeah, it would be 20 damage away from being able to make that happen. Doesn't have any modifiers. There's no Intellions in this deck like we've seen so much of, right? We don't see any Zigzagoons or Scoop Up Net shenanigans. Ooh, but the Tool Scrapper is able to get rid of both of those Tool Jammers, so that will no longer be a factor. Zachary does only play 2 copies of the card.
Yep, so the belt is back on. We were already talking about it as if it were anyways, so
sure.
Scrapper was assumed.
Yeah, we saw Drew grab it off of the Starbirth last turn, right? So I wonder what the strategy will be here from Andrew. You can 2-hit KO a Gengar and then knock out a 2-prizer.
Yep.
Or you can go boss knockout, boss knockout, boss knockout. That's a lot harder to pull off. So we may just see the 2-hit KO strategy be implemented, and Zachary would have to try to retreat out of that to make sure that Andrew doesn't just easily take the game in that way.
Yeah, so the way that this is currently lining up, it looks like Andrew would be able to at least absorb 1 shot with the current Gengar VMAX that's in the active spot. So if you work on that 2-piece on Zachary's Pokemon, you'll be able to work that in and have that 1 turn to fetch that boss's orders for a knockout on a Lumineon or a Crobat V.
And of course, the effect of G-Max Swallow-Up, you cannot attack the turn after you use that attack. So Zachary will have to find a switch into a different Gengar, a retreat, with the Hiding Darkness energy, and then switch back into this Gengar, or be able to power up a different Gengar on the bench to start attacking.
Yep, and we could see that be a little awkward too, because there's not a free retreat opportunity. It would likely have to be Zachary switching into a different Gengar and attacking, and we know that he's already down one of those single strike energies being in the prize cards, I believe. So less damage amplification there.
Raihan can grab an energy card from the discard pile, throw it on to Gengar VMAX, and now you're able to search your deck for any 1 card and put it in your hand. Of course, the condition being that you can only use this card if your opponent took a prize on the last turn, took a knockout on one of your Pokemon.
Yeah, and here is the old, we're playing chess, not checkers. He's going for a boss's orders with his supporter, so he's thinking ahead,
yes.
Trying to make sure that all of these prize cards are lined up for him over the next, it looks like 3 turns.
Raihan's such a good card in the current metagame. There's been so many of these, like, after you've been KO'd type cards over the years. This is a super fun one.
Yeah, this always feels fun, and it's also the fact that you can do this with evolution Pokemon feels really nice.
Definitely. We've got things like teammates and twins over the years have all been super good. Raihan showing that it's pretty solid as well. Just a solid hit with the G-Max Swallow-Up. Not quite enough for a knockout. But
a solid hit? There's 5 pips. There's so many dice.
But it's not
there.
A knockout, Kyle. Not quite a knockout.
These Pokemon are too big.
When you're busting out 5 dice in order to cover the amount of damage that was just done by your opponent, we're going to start to need to get some like 12-sided dice out there or something like that.
Absolutely. Where's the D&D people? Well, Zachary is going to go after that secondary Gengar VMAX now. We know the current Gengar in the active spot is going to have to switch if there is going to be an attack this turn for Zachary's side of the field, and it's going to be reliant on a Marnie?
Only 5 cards to work with, but this will disrupt Andrew, and this is a smart play from Zachary because we saw Andrew play the Raihan and then not play another card.
Okay, I'm thinking, is there a manual retreat going on? But no, there's the hiding energy, thankfully.
Yes,
so
yeah.
We're okay there.
Yeah, hiding darkness energy, giving free retreat to any darkness type Pokemon that it is attached to. Super great utility option in many darkness type decks, but synergizes particularly well with Gengar, VMAX's G-Max Swallow Up.
All right, so only 20 damage on the active for Zachary, so Andrew will not be able to take this Pokemon out, and Andrew was thinking ahead. He was thinking about this. He went ahead and grabbed the boss's orders, and here's a great pivotal turn for him to capitalize on that and take 3 prize cards if he so chooses.
Well, it was a turn. That was the turn that Zach marnied, right? But I think that Andrew did just draw back into the boss's orders, so he's going to have access to it even still, so that works out pretty nicely.
Yeah, we're starting to see the bench add up here now for Andrew, trying to get that down so that Bibarel can fill it back up.
It feels a little weird to have to bench this Arceus. That's a potential target, and it's also adding to your opponent's G-Max Swallow-Up damage, but Boss's Orders is going to eye up this Gengar VMAX. So much damage on it already. I think that the active G-Max Swallow-Up will be dealing enough, though.
That's looking pretty clean. We are going to see Andrew taking his time getting those cards up with the Bibarel.
5 cards drawn off the incisors. The Hyper Potion is drawn alongside the double turbo energy.
No.
This is huge. We can see the attachment of the double turbo. Hyper Potion heals it down to just 20 damage remaining on it.
What a combo.
What a play. And this makes so much sense in this deck where you're wanting to play Arceus. You need double turbo energies, but Gengar's attacks all require darkness energy. So how can you utilize the double turbos after your opponent, after you've already used your Arceuses? Hyper Potion is the perfect way to make it happen.
Oh, that's absolutely
what a turn.
filthy. 3 prize cards for Andrew now. He only needs 2 more. Who thought we'd be in this position 20 minutes ago?
No kidding. Super exciting Game 3. I wish the other 2 games had been this exciting, but nonetheless, we find ourselves in Game 3, and Zachary finds themselves with the back against the wall. Your opponent is definitely at an advantageous spot. You have 2 Pokemon V in play that give up 2 prize cards. Your opponent's just a boss's orders away from winning the game, and either of these Gengar VMAX in play can easily knock them out. What can you possibly do to get out of this?
Well, this is the problem with only being able to get that 1 Houndoom mount. There is not a way to accelerate these energies onto the board anymore, except for 1, but you're going to need to get that Vitality Urn, and then you're going to, need to draw into 1 and use it as your manual attachment for the turn so that you can G-Max Swallow Up?
Right, yeah. I mean, you can, and I don't even know if is that even hitting for enough? You need 3 single strike energies? Yeah, so you would have to single strike, roar 1, and attach 1.
Yes.
So that would be, and that is a lot to try to hit. Zachary does not have the choice belt in this list, so it's got to be finding 2 single strike energies to try to find this KO. Needing to find that Urn of Vitality is step 1.
Yeah, and especially not having it before using this Marnie, I feel like that just hints how difficult this really is going to be.
G-Max Swallow Up can still hit really hard, but you're only dealing 2, only.
Oh, we see the Urn.
Has the Urn, but now can, with only 1 single strike roar, can only deal 290 with G-Max Swallow Up, putting you just 10 damage short of KOing the active Gengar.
Well, Zachary is going to do what he can, and oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
Hey, we said that we might see a Houndoom come in, a Houndour come in, and that is exactly what Zachary's out is.
This is so smart. This is exactly what he needs to do. He understands that he's got that free retreat by way of the hiding energy, so he can bounce back to that Houndour.
Yep.
Andrew's sitting there with 2 prize cards, so go ahead, bring up that 1 prize.
Get a little poke.
But imagine if we saw another Hyper Potion. Are you kidding?
Oh, gosh.
I would not be okay with this.
Well, I think Andrew is going to try to thin the hand down as much as possible and dig. We are digging for Boss's Orders. Boss's Orders gets Andrew the win on the next turn. Does not quite have it in hand yet, but between Industrious Incisors and Ultra Ball to find another one, we could see it.
All right.
Draw for turn. It is a Gengar. So you can actually play this whole hand down here. Ultra Ball can discard the Raihan and one of the 2 basic Pokemon. You can bench the, you can't bench the other basic Pokemon because of the collapsed stadium, so that does not quite work. But that switch is a burnable card because it can go into the other Gengar.
Yep, and if you do need the choice belt perhaps, then you can go ahead and switch back, but obviously you're going to have plenty of damage by way of the G-Max Swallow Up.
Does find the Arceus V-Star. That Starbirth has already been used, but this is a card you can thin out of the deck, and there's no Bibarel in the deck. I have to imagine that would have been grabbed. I don't remember seeing that in the prize, but I guess it must be.
Yep, unless it fell into the discard
Could
early
have happened,
on.
yeah.
But still, 4 cards are going to be available for Andrew, looking for that boss's orders to clean things up, and what has been such a wild ride here in the top 4.
Oh, yeah. Switch can go into the other Gengar V. Industrious Incisors will see 4 cards, and I believe at least 2 boss's orders were in the deck there. Let's see it. 4 cards to come. Does Drew find the necessary boss's orders to close out the game, knocking out either of the 2 prize Pokemon on the bench? And there it is! Boss's orders can bring up Lumineon V, and G-Max Swallow Up deals more than enough damage to take the KO, and Drew Kennett is headed to the finals of the Salt Lake City Regional Championships.
That has to feel so good. Just making you just have to believe in situations like that, because you were down 1 game in like 5 minutes with the worst thing that could ever happen to you. You give up those that multiple prize by way of the issue there with the drawing the card, and just things weren't going your way. You looked at the prize card, oh, this is so bad. I'm never going to be able to get out of this. 5 minutes later, you're handed game 2. 20 minutes later, you are going to the finals.
Wow, what a sequence of events. I mean, big props to Zach, has played very well throughout this event. And just unfortunately, had a bad start in game number 2, and had to put one too many Pokemon V in play. It felt like there in game number 3. Massive props to Drew. Excited to see what's going to happen in our finals match. But I want to see how Drew is feeling after getting that win. So we got